over here facing this way, you've got the prosecution table, I guess, like right here, and then the defendant's table right here where Trump is sitting with his lawyers, so he's able to kind of look at you past the...
I can't believe what happened with you.
Yeah, when you were answering the questions, was Donald Trump making eye contact with you?
So I was looking down at the sheet most of the time, and then I was very nervous, so I was kind of looking up at the judge from time to time, like trying not to stutter. So probably he was looking at the other jurors as they were answering, so I would assume. I didn't make eye contact with him as I was answering.
Were you excused?
I was excused.
Because?
My job, I work in cybersecurity, and schedule-wise, it would be really difficult for me to take that amount of time off or only do my job after 4:30 p.m. every day because it involves coordinating a lot of
Did you
people.
say you could be unbiased, though?
I did. And I think I was telling the other folks over there a minute ago, but I think it's very difficult for anyone really in this country to not come to this with prior opinions. I think we all have prior opinions about the defendant unless you've been like living in a cardboard box since 2014. But personally, the right to a fair trial in this country is more important to me than anything this particular defendant has done or any feelings about him that I personally have. And then I think in order to uphold that, I was willing to put everything aside as much as I could.
What's your name?
Kara.
C or K?
K.
A-R-A, last name?
Yes, Mickey, M-C-G-E. Hi.
How could you describe the mood inside that room? What did you feel that? What did you see to describe the mood?
Definitely serious, and it felt jury-wise, like from the other jurors, that everyone was really taking it upon themselves to step in and do their civic duty here. I think regardless of what people came into it thinking about the defendant, there were other people as well in the jury box who answered the questions honestly and said, like, yes, I have family members who have been involved with X political thing. I have X opinion about something on this jury sheet, but I believe that I can put that aside and be unbiased. Yeah.
Can you share your opinion of the former president and why you felt that you could be unbiased?
I'm not a fan. During COVID-19, I lived with someone who was immunocompromised, and I think his handling of COVID-19 was abysmal. I have a sister who is adopted from China, and the comments he made about China when he was running for president made her very anxious, and therefore made me angry. There are policies he has supported that regard women and reproductive health that I do not agree with. And I think all of that needs to be addressed. I also, however, I think that something extremely important in this country, especially in this age where in mass we do not trust each other, is the right to a fair trial. And no matter what you think of someone as a person or what other things they may have done, what he is on trial for is a very specific thing, that even he deserves the right to a fair trial.
Were you able to gauge the sentiment of other pool members in
Somewhat.
general? Do you feel it was more against Trump or more for Trump?
It actually seemed pretty even. Surprisingly, I thought because this is Manhattan, it might be a little bit more liberal, but there were a number of people who said, like, yes, I listen to Fox, I watch Fox, I have been on Trump mailing lists in the past, etc. So not really leaning towards one side or the other that I could tell.
And Kara, just finally, I find it fascinating your own personal experience being in that jury box. How long did it take you to get through the questionnaire? What was exactly what was it like to be? Because you're answering the questions individually, and everybody's listening to you talk. Correct?
So you kind of pass the microphone around one juror to the other, and you've all read through the questionnaire, so you know basically what you'll have to go through. And no one's asking you the questions; you're reading them and reading the answers out loud. So I was in the 13th seat, I guess, and we did. So when someone gets excused, they fill in that seat rather than get through the rest of the people. So I had listened to maybe 15 or so other jurors read through the questionnaire, and you really did get a sense of, and I think this was partially because of how historic this is, you got a sense that people were really trying to put anything that they had brought to this aside and step in and do their civic duty, and be as biased and impartial as they possibly could. And that people really were being honest, answering the questions. I was worried that there were maybe people who wouldn't be so honest because of their prior feelings in one direction or the other. But people were very forthright and said, like, yes, I had volunteered for an anti-Trump thing. I had been subscribed to Trump mailing lists. I watched Fox News. And I think because of the gravitas, I guess, that all of us felt, there was a sense of, like, what happens, but I'm going to do my best to be a model citizen right now.
What was your final
You
interaction?
said you could gauge a little bit the sense of the other jurors, how they felt about Donald Trump, if they liked
A little,
him, if
yeah.
it was even. Could you get a sense of the other potential jurors, how they felt about the case? Did they think it was a strong case? Did they think it was a fair case? What were people saying about the strength of the case?
So there are two questions in the questionnaire that makes me think of. One of which is, do you have any opinions about the ability for a former sitting president to be tried in a court of law? And I think the way that people answered that said something about how they felt about the case. Most people just said, no, I don't really have any opinions about it. Two of us, one other juror who I think is still in there, and myself said, I believe that the law applies to everyone. I think he said, I believe no one's above the law. And the other one was, do you have any opinions about legal limits for campaign finance donation amounts? Which I believe was another one that was kind of meant to gauge your feelings about the particular case. Again, most people said no opinions. Another woman who, I won't say what she does for a living because I don't want to, if people are still in there, I don't want to imply anything. She said, yes, I do have an opinion about it. I said, yes, I do have an opinion about it. They kept her around. That didn't seem to be as big of a deal because, again, there's people kind of on both sides, but it was interesting.
What was your final interaction with Donald?
I looked at him after I had finished giving my final answer, which was the one that I was dismissed for, which I work in cybersecurity, scheduling-wise. It's very difficult for me to do my job if I'm here for 6 weeks because it's a lot of coordinating other people, and I can't really do that from only 4:30 in the afternoon onwards. I said I'm willing to work around it if you need me. I want to be honest. So after I answered that question and the judge said you're excused, I glanced over at him again and made eye contact with him and have no idea what he thought at that moment, and then I got down and left.